Welcome to Heritage Acres Homestead. I'm Chas. Here you'll find our family as we strive to live a life that pleases the Lord. We do our best to make the most out of what we've been given, so we'd like to invite you to come along and join us on our journey.
Hey y'all, good morning and welcome to Heritage Acres Homestead. I'm Chas and I'm glad you're back with me today because today we're going to talk about zucchinis. And I know that it's either feast or famine with these things. It's like, oh, I can't wait till we have some zucchini come out of the garden. At least that's what I say. And then all of a sudden you have 20 zucchini and you're like, what am I going to do with all these? And so I'm going to share with you at least 8 different ways that you can use your zucchini in cooking, preserving, and just give you some ideas on what you can do with this very, very versatile vegetable. So one thing about zucchini is it's one of those things that just kind of can take on whatever you're going to use it with. Meaning I can use it in a savory dish or I can use it in a sweet dish, and it works both ways. It just kind of adapts. And so one thing, of course, we all know zucchini bread or zucchini muffins is one of the most widely known things to do with a zucchini. And it really is delicious, especially the recipe that I'm going to share with you because it is my husband's grandmother's recipe. And I do like a zucchini bread, but for convenience sake, I now mostly make zucchini muffins because it's just easy to grab it and go. And so I'm going to share with you our family's zucchini bread or zucchini muffin recipe with you today.
Now, if you are making muffins, let me tell you a little trick. If you will take some oil and rub it around the outside rim of your muffin pans, and then go ahead and fill your muffins up to the tippy top, you'll get more of that nice bakery look, the domed top. And then if it, kind of folds over like the muffin top does, if you have that greased around the edge, it won't stick. And that's one of the tips I learned from the Barefoot Contessa, because she had a catering company for a while, and she said to make those beautiful domed muffins, she would always make sure to grease the top of the muffin tin as well as the inside, unless you're using liners. So I put liners in mine, so now I just have to grease the top, and then I'm going to do a little topping on top of these.
I like to make them in muffin form now simply because it's the ease of grabbing and going. I can stick them in Shannon's lunchbox. I don't have to slice it up. It's just easier. I usually will put these into a Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer. Then before he goes to work in the morning, I'll take 1 or 2 out, put them in his lunchbox, and by the time he's at work the next day, they're thawed and ready to eat. So it's super convenient for me. Plus, I know, we've got zucchini in there. There's dates and raisins, cinnamon. There's all kinds of good things in there. It's not something that I've had to buy from the store. It's something that I made. It's just a beautiful thing. So not only is zucchini very versatile, it has lots of nutrients, antioxidants. It's just good for you. And one of those things is it's good for your eyes. It's good for digestion. It's good for your heart. It is, oh goodness, what else was there? It helps your blood sugar levels. And because of that, it's a low carb option if you're looking into that kind of thing for your, if you're on a diet or if you're just needing to do that because your blood sugar gets out of control. Zucchini is super good for a low carb lifestyle. Another thing that I like to use zucchini with, and all these I'll not be able to show you every single thing we're talking about today, but I will show you several. With zucchini, I like to make, basically, it's like a medallion is what I call it. So you're going to take your zucchini, you're going to slice it up into, not super thick, but maybe like 1/4 inch medallions, and you'll use that for breakfast. Yes, I said for breakfast. So take your zucchini, add you a little bit of fat to your skillet, and then begin to saute that zucchini and add a little bit of salt and pepper and some Parmesan cheese. Another good low carb idea there. So with that Parmesan cheese, it's going to sort of make a crust on it. It's going to be like it's fried. Now, I know you're saying this is not as a breakfast thing, but it is. After you make your zucchini medallions, then make you a couple of fried eggs to go with it. It is so good, and it's one of my favorite ways to use zucchini during the summertime for breakfast. All right, y'all, so I've got one of the smaller zucchinis. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna cut it into medallions. And they're gonna look a little bit like this. So they're not super thick, they're not super thin. I've got a little bit of bacon grease in the skillet. I'm heating that up first. Another thing, y'all, don't put your zucchini, your eggs, or anything like that into your grease until it is hot. Because if you do, it's just going to sit there and it's just going to absorb it rather than just cook. And, you know, it'll take on some, but it will just soak if you put it in there right now. You don't want that. You just want to use it for frying up that egg or that zucchini and making it crispy. While I'm waiting for that skillet to heat, I'm going to take one of my larger zucchinis and go ahead and begin to shred that, because I'm going to use that, the shreds, into my sauce for tonight's supper, as well as the zucchini bread muffins that I'm going to make. So another way to use zucchini for breakfast, besides muffins, besides my medallions, which is a savory breakfast option, is to make zucchini bread oatmeal. Now, that, I know you're thinking, zucchini does not seem like a breakfast option to me, but this is delicious as well. So what you're going to do is you're going to make your oatmeal just like you normally would, but shred up zucchini, put in there with those oats. It's going to cook alongside them. You won't even know it's there, y'all. I'm not even kidding you. You won't know it's there. Make sure when you bring it off the bowl and it's ready to eat that you season it up just like you would zucchini bread. I like to add raisins in the bowl as well. If you're not a raisin fan, don't use it. You can use nuts, you can use raisins or dates. You can use a little brown sugar, some cinnamon, all the flavors of zucchini bread in your morning oatmeal. It is great. Oh my goodness. Kind of wish I was making that this morning. but I'm gonna make me some medallions because I need to not have so many carbs this morning. All right, another thing, and again, I'm going to show you some of these, but I can't show you all of these. So another thing that we've got is what I'm making for supper tonight. I'm going to eat a lot of zucchini today. I'm making spaghetti for supper, and I'm using lots of zucchini in the sauce. So as I make my sauce, I brown my beef, my Italian sausage. I get that all brown with the onions, and then in goes the zucchini. In goes the tomatoes. I put it with my sauce. Again, it's shredded. I'm not using chunked because the family doesn't, might pick it out if there's big chunks. But they're not going to pick it out if it's shredded up in there because they'll never even know. You could even puree this if you wanted to. I kind of like the shreds best, but it's one other way to add a great nutrient-rich vegetable into your sauce that's going to give you some added nutrition, that's going to give your family some more vegetables in their diet, and they don't even know it's there.
After just a few minutes of cooking, those zucchini shreds will begin to break down. They will get soft and just kind of meld into your beef mixture. So you'll do this right before you begin to add your sauce. So I usually end up adding some of my homemade pasta sauce and sometimes just some plain tomato sauce. And in this case, today I added some diced tomatoes that I put up. I like giving it a little bit of texture, but they break down pretty quickly too. So it just really makes a beautiful sauce. So as this continues to cook, I like to see it get nice and thick and rich, and I like to taste it about midway through. That way I can adjust the seasonings if needed.
Zucchini chips. If you are, if you have a dehydrator, or if you can stand with, or you can be in your kitchen for a while with your oven on low, just like I made my medallions on the stovetop, you can slice these up, put them on parchment paper, a little bit of olive oil, some salt and pepper, a little bit of cheese, and make chips with them. Let them cook low and slow, like 200, 250 for several hours until they're crispy. Those are another great option, especially, if you're dealing with needing to eat lower carbs. These are your best friend. They are so versatile. Another thing is to use them as noodles, and I know that was a big craze for a while, but they really work, and they're tasty too. You can use a noodle or a spiralizer, make noodles out of them, or you can shave them very thin and make them more like a lasagna noodle. Layer those in there in your lasagnas. Again, it's not, I know it's not going to be the same as pasta, but if you're needing to go that route, it's a great alternative, and it will give you a different mouthfeel than just like, just if you're just eating sauce. It's going to help give you a texture in your lasagna. Let's see what else I got here. If you just have so many and you just need to really use some up, you can take your zucchini, you can slice them thin, dehydrate them, and then puree them. Make a zucchini powder. A zucchini powder can go into so many different recipes, just to add nutrition, to add to add more substance into a soup or a sauce, you can do that. You can, now this is something, I've done all these others, but this is something I've not done. I've heard that you can make a zucchini flour. Now, I've not went that route yet, but I'm not dismissing it. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I just haven't done it. But that is another option. Zucchini in your chocolate chip cookies. Another thing, zucchini chocolate chip bread. I've heard of both of those, and I've actually done the bread one, not done the cookie one. And then there's the sweet side of, which is going to be one of my favorite ways of using zucchini, because zucchini in which I've already talked about muffins, but in a cake, it makes the most delicious and just moist, and I don't know, just has a great mouthfeel because it's so tender. Tender's the word I'm looking for. It makes a very tender cake. I have a recipe, and I'm going to share that one with you too. It is my zucchini lemon blueberry cake, and oftentimes I will make that. I think I usually make that around homecoming at church, because it's the time of year when blueberries are plentiful. We're able to pick plenty of those. Zucchinis are plentiful, and it just makes a beautiful cake. And I mean, lemon and blueberries are a fantastic combination, and if you add zucchini in there, it just, it makes that cake even better. This is something that I make each year called mock pineapple. Now, I have a YouTube video on this. It's a very short YouTube video on this. I can't remember what happened. My phone messed up. I don't remember, but it gets the gist across. I will link this video in the description. But this works super good if you need pineapple in a recipe. We do make a good pineapple upside down cake with it. It's very tasty. Anything you could use pineapple for, like if you were doing a sweet and savory chicken, or like a Hawaiian chicken where you would use some soy sauce and pineapple juice, you can absolutely use this, and it works well. So it can go sweet or savory. So there's two. Number 3, what I have on the stove right now. I've made pasta sauce today, some spaghetti meat sauce, and it is loaded with zucchini. I just shred my zucchini, add it when the meat is almost all the way cooked. I add the zucchini and let it cook for a while, and then I add my sauces, and then cook it down even a bit more. One thing I will say, I used to have a food processor that would pulse it much finer than a box grater will. So if you have children that might have an aversion to another texture, you might want to go with the food processed zucchini, or just make sure you chop it a bit finer, because when you do chop it a bit finer, you don't really notice it in your sauce. The box grater on the largest grate you will notice it, but it's not a bad thing. It's just more noticeable. My zucchini side dish. So I use zucchini oftentimes, like if I'm making maybe a pork chops or chicken, and I slice up some zucchini. I'll slice up some squash, and usually an onion, depending on what all I have. If I don't have squash, I'll just use all zucchini. Sometimes I'll use all squash, but I like to use the mix. I'll slice up an onion and a little bit of oil in a pan, and then I begin to saute it. It will get tender. You can cook it to the point where it's just mush, but leave it a little bit of texture in there. But what I love to add to this is some coconut aminos or some liquid aminos. It gives it a great savoriness. It doesn't necessarily make it an Asian taste to it, but it just gives a good umami flavor, like an all-around balanced flavor. So there's just so, and that's just the tip of an iceberg on how you can use zucchini. It really, really is a great, versatile vegetable. Pretty easy to grow if you can control your squash bugs. And I'm just totally jealous because so many people have told me on Instagram and whatnot that they don't have, that in their area there is no squash bugs. Well, let me just say, consider yourself blessed because they are a nemesis of the South. And even though I've gotten some zucchini this year, the squash bugs have taken out several of my plants, but I'm fighting back. So, all right, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little video on different ways that you can use zucchini. There's lots of ways you can use this great vegetable too. Have a wonderful day. God bless you. Bye-bye.